Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pete Brown. I'm PwC's Global Workforce Leader. I'm sensing there might be some interest in what we're about to talk about, given the number of you here, and it's absolutely brilliant to see you. Can I also start with a thank you? Thank you for allowing us to do this in English. It's entirely my fault because my French language skills are very, very poor. And that's something that I'm hoping actually AI can help me with in the coming years, although my 18-year-old daughter who is studying French at university thinks I'm a lost hope. But thank you for allowing us to do it in English. So at the start, we're going to have a conversation around the impact of AI on workforces. From all the research we do at PwC, I'll refer to that later on, and the work we do with organisations around the world, it's clear that the impact of AI on workforce is causing all sorts of conversations, some challenges and some great opportunities as well. And so I'm delighted today to be joined by two fantastic people to bring some of that to life in the context of the work they do. So first I'd like to introduce Sofia Merlo, who is the Group HR Director at BNP Paribas. Sofia, good afternoon. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, so hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. Just to introduce myself very quickly, so I'm in the group for many years, so I will make it short. I came in 1985, so AI was not existing at that time, even computers, I would say. So I make first clients on corporate clients, then group HR, then I manage the wealth management activity for BNP Paribas, and I'm head of group HR since 2020, just at the COVID.
Brilliant, it's lovely to see you. And to your left is Paul Courtaud, who is the founder and CEO of Neobrain. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. So very pleased to be here with you. So I'm Paul, the founder and CEO of Neobrain. We built 7 years ago an AI-based platform that helps large companies to actually match the right people with the right opportunities at the right time. We serve 80 global companies, and we help around 1 million employees every month to actually find their place in the changing world. And have a second hat. I'm the co-chairman of the Humania Circle, so it's a think tank trying to better understand how AI is basically reshaping the future of work and how enterprises try to cope with it.
Brilliant. Well, fantastic to see you both. So just in terms of sort of teeing up the conversation, some of you will have seen that last week, PwC, we released the second AI jobs barometer. We released the first one a year ago. We released it here at VivaTech. And the reason we undertook that research was really to try and get some facts and to cut through some of the noise. So much is written around the impact of AI on jobs and the workforce. You know, you don't have to look far for headlines that say we're all going to lose our jobs, it's going to trash the workforce. And what we were really trying to do was to find out, well, what's actually going on? So we introduced the AI jobs barometer. This year we looked at nearly 1 billion job adverts around the world. And we looked at kind of what's going on in terms of what are employers asking for in terms of AI skills. So those findings were released last week. We've had a huge amount of interest and inquiries from organisations and from the media. It's been picked up around the globe. But if I give you just some of the headlines, because some of it's actually quite counterintuitive against some of the stuff you might read. So the first thing, which may or may not surprise you, is that no sector is immune. Every single sector is being impacted by AI, ranging from financial services and IT right the way through to mining and logging, right? There is AI impacting all sectors. Those organizations, those sectors that are embracing AI more, what we're seeing there is we're seeing that they are seeing a positive impact in terms of revenue per employee, up to 3 times as much revenue per employee. We're also seeing a boost on productivity, up to 4 times increase in productivity per employee. And then let's come to job numbers. Across every sector and across all areas of AI, whether it's AI being used to augment or to automate, we're seeing job growth. So the job numbers are going up, albeit slightly slower in those areas where AI is being used the most. But I think, in terms of countering some of the headlines that we see, we are actually seeing the numbers, the data are showing that growth. So that's kind of what AI Jobs Barometer talks about. I'd encourage you to have a look at that on our website. You can get cuts by industry or by territory. Another piece of research we released about 4 months ago was with the World Economic Forum, and that was around the impact of AI on job automation and augmentation. One of the main themes there was around adoption. It doesn't matter what tool you're using, if you don't actually equip your employees, your workers to use that, they don't understand why you're using it, you might not get the outcome you're hoping for. So let me turn to Sofia, because I know you've been doing a lot of work in the context of AI at BNP Paribas. Would love to hear your story. How is it being used? What are you learning as you're progressing?
Well, I think that BNP Paribas, as many of you know, it's a financial service company. We are in many sectors: retail, investment banking, real estate, automotive. But at the heart of it, we are first of all a tech company. Even if we have 180,000 people working on the ground, among them we have 30,000 people who are working on the tech, because in fact we have people and tech to serve our clients. So tech, AI, whatever, data and tech underpins all our activities. To serve our corporate clients, to serve our individual clients, we need tech, clearly. So that means that we need to work on it. That means that there are many issues on that, and if you hear about cybersecurity, it's one of the big issues that banking is working on. If you hear about data knowledge, data management, and AI, all the things are clearly something that we're working on. But we're working on that since, I would say, 2016, because AI has raised at that time. So we have worked on AI on all our different kind of processes, as you said, to improve productivity on some processes. And now, as far as generative AI is coming in, we are working on some new use cases to see how this new technology could manage and could assist our employees. So that is clearly important. But as you said, it's really important to understand how people will adopt AI at all levels of the company, and how we make it agile, and how we are ensuring that nobody is left aside on this journey.
And if I could just stay with you on that, how you get people to use it. So from our hopes and fears survey, we know that workers they're broadly positive around Gen AI, right? They see it as something that can help them to do their job better. There are a good numbers of workers who are also slightly worried about it. Have you come across that in terms of your own workforce at BNP Paribas, and how have you countered that?
Yeah, I think that not everyone is AI or tech friendly, I would say. So we need to see how we can make some awareness around that. So what we did last year is that we launched training to aware people, and spontaneously we have reached this year 22,000 of people who went to this 30-minute training just to understand, and we make them understand what is AI, what is Gen AI, how they have to use it personally, what are the risks behind them, and how they could use it also professionally. And on that part, we also gave some guidelines, because we know that we could not use everything from our data, because we're a bank, so we had here to protect the data of our clients. So we need to be sure that our people understand how to use this and how we're going to train them. And so we say that the training is not the same for everyone. So we say that we should have a common knowledge, just to be sure that everyone is aware of how to manage things. And then for experts, we will have some specificities to develop what they will need in their own, I would say, position, because you are in IT, or you are serving corporate clients, or in a financial structuring, you do not need the same way of using AI. So we are working on that clearly, and it's important for us, and this is why we are launching what we call a Tech Academy. And in this Tech Academy, we will, I would say, have all what is about tech, AI, data, cybersecurity, because behind it, and all this kind of things. So it's important to deal with these 360 issues around tech, data, and AI.
That's really brilliant to hear, and I mean I can identify with that in context of being a colleague at PwC. So we have a thing called the PwC AI Elevation Studio, which is trying to do the same thing actually in terms of equipping our people to be familiar through to experts in AI, depending on what their roles are. Paul, if I could turn to you, right? So given what you do, what are you observing in terms of the transformation around workforces, the speed of it, and I think obviously obvious question to you, the skills requirements?
Yeah. So first of all, the first interesting observation we have is actually AI is impacting our brains before it's impacting our jobs. So a recent Chinese-led study showed that the first 50 conversations you will have with generative AI will start to lower your mental health before it rises above the initial level. Meaning that the first 50 conversations you have, you're going to compare your skills, what you're doing every day, to what the AI is able to do. And AI is great at showing, at sometimes faking that it's able to do a lot of things. So that's the first important impact we need to be aware of. The second observation we have is that the AI is actually entering the companies through 3 consecutive waves. The first wave of AI is actually the employees carrying initiatives, use cases, without their employer even knowing it. It's right now 8 use cases out of 10, but Gen AI they're actually managed by employees on the behalf of their employers. So the employees don't know that. They just use ChatGPT to rewrite emails, summarize meeting minutes, because it's just saving them, as an average, 30 minutes per day, 10 minutes per usage of generative AI. So that's wave 1. So wave 1 productivity gains are actually dedicated to employees themselves. Wave 2, it's interesting, and as Sofia said, so it's the second step is when the company is starting to structure and to introduce AI into their processes. That's exactly when we really see jobs being transformed, because processes are evolving, your day-to-day tasks are changing thanks to AI. So that's the wave 2. Wave 3 is very interesting. We see that with few companies right now. Wave 3 is when you start to integrate AI as well in the product and services you're delivering to your clients. This second step, it is very interesting, because then AI is not only delivering productivity gains, but more value to your clients, more revenue, and then it's becoming an opportunity not only to optimize your processes, but also to provide better value to your client. What is very interesting here is to look. A lot of companies are making this transition right now, but what is, I think, very interesting is to look at AI natives companies. We have a new generation of companies emerging. Take a look at, for instance, Cursor. It's an AI, AI coding assistant. They delivered 100 million revenue within their first year. They are 18 employees. So the game is really changing, and it's happening with new AI natives companies. And I think these examples show that now, I'd say, talent density beats headcount. So talent density is a concept introduced by Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix. I think it's a concept you really should pay attention to, because this talent density concept will be key in the era of AI. Then the big question is my job at risk? That's the question I was asking myself the first time I talked to ChatGPT. And actually, to try to answer this question, we tried to analyze 80 years of foresight reports, trying to understand how are we able to actually predict the impact of AI on job and skills. Interesting fact is we are very good at predicting what is going to disappear. We're terrible at identifying what is going to the new jobs, the new tasks that are going to emerge from AI. Why? It's because we miss use cases. We need more use cases, so we better understand how new things, new tasks and skills will emerge. Which means that anxiety is real, because we always see a bad balance of job creation between job displacement. But the point is, and I think that, as Sofia said, the new winners of this AI era will be the one that deliver the best transition. So not the best models. We don't care if you use OpenAI, Mistral, or others. The big challenge is, how do you make your people actually make the transition from actually leveraging AI? I think that is going to be the absolute key in the future. And as a last word, I would say, in a world of uncertainty, the challenge is what is actually certain? what kind of certainty can we actually rely on to plan our future? Because we need to plan ahead for the next, not only the next 12 months, but ahead. There is 4 key skills based on more than 50 million job offers we analyzed at Neobrain. We identified, and these 4 skills that were popularized by Jérémy Lamry from Tomorrow Theory. Very interesting. These 4 skills are basically the 21st century skills: creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. These 4 skills, if they're at the core of all your training and development programs, you're on the right path, definitely.
Let me just stay with that on those 4 skills. They're all human skills, right? If I look at, go back to AI jobs barometer, the skills point. So, bearing in mind we live in a world where there is a shortage of critical skills, right? We know CEOs, it's in the top 3 or 4 worries they have: lack of available skills. AI actually is having a compounding impact, right? So, in the AI jobs barometer, the skills sought by employees in those areas most exposed to AI are changing 66% faster than anywhere else, right? So it's getting, so the message I think we say to our own people within PwC, but I think more broadly with clients we work with, is, if you like, the responsibility of leaders to help equip workers, colleagues, to maintain relevance in the world in which we live and work. So I'm getting a flappy five fingers at me, which says we're running towards the end. I'm going to come to the audience in a minute for some questions, but before we do that, Sofia and Paul, I'm going to come to you for maybe what are the 2 or 3 things you would want people who have listened to you this afternoon to take away and to remember when they go on their way?
Well, I think that, as you said, we need to be sure that we adapt and we're agile to adapt the transition for AI. So don't be afraid, no anxious. Change is there. We have that with the digital part. So first of all, we will manage it, but we have to go, I would say, continuously and agile in the way to adopt AI. The second thing that I would say around AI is to be sure that we will not be biased. We didn't speak about that, but AI could give some fake news, could give some bias issue. And as a bank and as an HR, I'm very, very cautious on all what is around inclusion, diversity, and how this will remain at the top level of our priority without any bias of AI. And the last thing is that, as you said, I think that AI is more than a support, it is an assistant. That means that tomorrow we will need, wherever we are, and as a bank we would still need, wherever we are, people skilled on soft skills, because that will make the difference. The difference will be made by the interaction that we will have around us, between us, whatever AI is.
Thank you, that's very clear. Paul?
So only 3 things to remember, I would say. First, protect your brains by actually using AI more than 50 times. So jump after this first gap. That provides a lot of anxiety, so then you get excited. And so use AI, practice AI, use everything that is happening, look at everything that is happening on the market right now and get excited about what's happening. So that will be my advice number 1. Second is, remember these 3 key waves that companies are going through. Identify where you stand right now and anticipate for the next wave. That will be my second advice. And the third one is, personally, if you want to remain employable, to ride these waves, I would really recommend that you really focus on your day-to-day to develop actually these 4 skills, these 4 human skills. Take some time, plan some time ahead, because the one who will be able to actually adapt faster, to learn these new skills faster than the others, will really emerge and grow faster in this era. I'm very optimistic, but now that we have a really a big overview on how AI is actually impacting jobs, companies, I'm really optimistic that it will bring better activity. It will increase job satisfaction when it's used in the right way. And yeah, so I'm very optimistic if and only if we create the right environment within companies, as BNP Paribas is doing right now, to create with the right safeguards, with the right trainings and acculturation, we create the conditions to succeed in this era.
So humans and technology working together, and actually technology, AI, enabling humans to do their jobs better, to be better at their work. Thank you so much. I could speak forever, but I think it's time to ask some questions from the audience. We have a question straight away. Thank you. I think there's a microphone going to come to you.
So I have a question about AI and employment. As we are students, I heard a lot of articles and read a lot about students and lower skill and entry level jobs getting because it's easier task getting rid of by AIs, and so AI is not taking the jobs but mainly the low entry jobs. And what is the future of students and employment?
Which one of you would like to take that? I can give a point of view, but I'd rather hear from you first.
I think that we will need all level of students, wherever we are in the group, whether it's in France or wherever, because we will have new jobs, but we would still have jobs with, as I said before, connections with clients. This is what is driving us, but we'll have also new jobs in terms of AI, in terms of data knowledge. So we see that everywhere, and so I would say that even today, we do not know exactly all the new jobs that will be open tomorrow. This is why I'm saying that we just continuously adapt ourselves, but be sure that if we look at the demography, there will be huge opportunities for all students tomorrow.
I would say that entry jobs will change, and sometimes I'm afraid that schools and universities, they don't adapt faster enough. That's my real fear right now. But I think that as a student, if I was putting myself back in these shoes, I think AI also lowered the entrance barrier to actually testing projects, developing your entrepreneurship skills and mindset, which will become very useful for many companies in the future. So my advice will be try tools such as Lovable, N8N, this kind of systems that are almost free right now. You can test it, you can build anything you want, even though you're not technical expert, and you will develop the required skills that the future of work will need, obviously, in the future.
And I think also around the world, I think that the constant requirement, I think, for business leaders, for policymakers, for academic institutions, to really collaborate, to work out how they can work better together. So what's coming out of the schools is fit for purpose, and as best you can possibly do that. But I'd also add as well, for any student group I talk to, they're focusing on those 4 human skills that Paul talked about earlier on. Thank you for your question. Who's next? We have a hand over there. Will this one reach?
Hello everyone, my name is Axel Lameron, I work for AXA Excel. I have a small question. So AI are trained based on very large data, and they use a normal distribution to assess how they're going to give us an answer. My question is, when they do that, they give us the consensus when they give us an answer. So how do we challenge the consensus?
Okay, I can take this one. It's a very good question. That's why, first of all, that's why critical thinking is absolutely necessary right now. So first thing, to develop this mindset of being, critical about what the AI is providing, looking at the data sources when you talk to generative AI. Ask the AI to cite its sources, for instance, to rely on actual observable sources. So that these are very first-level answers to really develop this mindset and to improve your prompt engineering techniques, so you better, I'd say, orient AI so it provides the right answers. One important thing is, first, I would advise to more and more rely on reasoning model than just simple model, because reasoning model, they take more time to answer, but their answers are way more accurate. So it's these new generation of models are more reliable to use. They cost more, but then you have more reliable answers. And perhaps just one last thing, some use cases will never be able to be tackled with AI is because the hallucination bias implied with what you mentioned means that the AI will never reach, generative AI will never reach the expected level of quality, so that, for instance, tomorrow in banks or in insurances, you can just ask AI to draft a contract and send it to a client. No, you will rely on forms to fill, because generative AI sometimes will hallucinate. So some use cases will just not be able to be reached with generative AI. That's also a simple fact.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you for the question. We've got time for maybe 1, maybe 2 more questions. Any more? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Elisabeth Medou-Badin from Orange. You mentioned the criticality of making sure that employees have the right acculturation to AI. So from your experience, what are the main, let's say, key success factors to increase the adoption to, let's say, 80% in a very short time?
Would you like to say that first? You'd like me to? Okay. Yeah, I think in terms of how do you get people to adopt, so if I hark back to the hopes and fears we released about last July, I think the adoption of workers on AI was 12%. It's certainly improved, but again, if I think around PwC initially, it took a while for us to get people around that. What makes the difference? I think one, leaders role modelling. Leaders really, sort of being clear about when they're using it. Secondly, I think being really clear about why you're using it, so that employees understand, okay, this is what we're trying to do, and they're embraced as part of that journey. I think three, make it as easy as possible for them to access it, and also allow them to kind of, I say fail, but experiment with it, right? The fourth thing I'd add is, what I've seen works better is kind of piloting before you try and scale wholesale. Otherwise, I've seen organisations lose a lot of their population. It's just a few perspectives from me, but Sofia, your experience?
I agree. I would say that when we launched this acculturation with awareness model that we did last year, the question was initially, do we do it mandatory or do we let people go for it? And we spontaneously say we will make it not mandatory and we will see. And then we saw that very, very quickly people go for it. We have 22,000 people who went for it. Now we know that what we did last year, I would not say it's already obsolete, but in a certain sense it's already obsolete because the things are changing and changing. So we're going to learn something new this year, and we continue to learn something new, but it's also an ecosystem. That means that you communicate on what you do on common knowledge, then people go for it as a training. You do something at the leadership level to make sure that all the leaders are understanding what is AI and how they have to use it and how they're going tomorrow to manage and to onboard everyone. So we need to do both of them, not only one single thing. And then you need also to communicate. This is what we're going to do, just to be sure that everyone, even those who did not go there spontaneously, are going to be curious to say, okay, what is going on exactly? Because in fact, it's not impacting only your professional life, it's also impacting your personal lives. So this is probably the thing which is different with AI, that we know that this is something which is impacting your personal life. As you said before, people are going for ChatGPT, but we say as a bank, don't go for ChatGPT with the data of our clients, and we need to explain to them why. So this is how it's important for us as a bank to make people understand why we're doing those things, even if personally they will do it differently. So this is all what is around on how we need to make people aware of the risk, aware of how it will be helping them in the day-to-day life of their job, and how the leaders will onboard everyone. So it's roughly an ecosystem.
So my colleague Jean-Francois has no fingers left, right, which means we're out of time. I would love to invite you back to do a LinkedIn Live, actually, to continue this discussion, because listening to your insights, your experience, your expertise, it's so helpful. I think certainly for me, I'm sure for many of the people watching. But if I could ask everybody just to join me in thanking Sofia and Paul for a really fabulous discussion, and I'm sure they'll be around afterwards if you want to say hello.